Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Chart analysts with a good track record continue to insist that this market is not over. And if they're wrong, this would be a first. This would be a first. This time would be different than the others by a number of metrics in terms of distribution from long-term Bitcoin holders, whales, which is the smart money and the way they treat everything, Bitcoin dominance where we're at right now, the fact there's been no actual euphoric end via alt season that you see at the end of every single cycle. This time would be different. I do not believe that this time is different, but I will tell you this. Regardless of whether or not we've seen the literal bottom, there's an argument to be made that we have. Even if we haven't and there's something a little bit worse in the short term, it just seems like the vast majority of the more like scary period, in all probability, and I'll show you why I'm saying this in the beginning part of the video, we're probably past that. I'm also going to share with you perspective from a number of XRP chart analysts, all of whom accurately called XRP breaking to the upside this cycle, and they insist that this thing is not over. They're not changing their minds because they don't think it makes logical sense to believe that, oh, that was it, it's all over now. In fact, one of the chart analysts out there says that this run isn't over until XRP flips Ethereum, and that's a direct quote. Now, there's historic precedent for that, so I will not be surprised if he's right, and we end up seeing XRP in that number 2 spot of market cap. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 11:45 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. XRP is $2.22, Bitcoin at $83,380. So mostly just another 24-hour period where we're moving sideways, more or less. There's a 24-hour XRP chart. Here it is for Bitcoin. The charts are strikingly similar as I flip back and forth between the two. Nothing. The asset class is just moving in tandem. Nothing weird here. But take a look at this. Again, like I said at the outset of the video, there's reason to speculate that perhaps the most scary, not so fun part actually is behind us. So we're at 45 out of 100 on the crypto fear and greed index, so that is still technically fear. But I just want to point out that, you know, if you look back to 1 year's worth of data points, which is literally what's on your screen right here, you can see that the bottom actually just happened on February 27th, so just roughly a couple weeks ago. We were at 10 out of 100. That's extreme fear. That is the lowest it's been in the last 12 months, despite the awesomeness and excitement and all that fun stuff. Remember, we had that extreme greed after the election. Despite all of that, look at this. We're at 94 out of 100 extreme greed on November 22nd last year. It cratered to 10. And so I will just tell you this, at some unknown point in the future, we will be back into extreme greed. And I think it's going to happen before we finally melt down and go into an actual bear market. But anyway, I just wanted to highlight this to show you, if you're here, congratulations to you. You did make it. And fine, there are some analysts that say it's at least possible we could see another final leg lower, at least to some degree. But you know, the majority of the length of time, in all probability, that this thing's going to on. A lot of analysts think that it's probably, if they had to guess, probably through the worst of it here. Here's a headline from Cointelegraph. Everybody's talking about this today. US CPI comes in lower than expected. Are rate cuts coming? And so there you go. That's the narrative. Check this out. The latest US Core Consumer Price Index, or CPI print, a measure of inflation, came in lower than expected at 3.1%, beating expectations of 3.2% with a corresponding 0.1% drop in headline inflation figures. According to Matt Mina, a crypto research strategist at 21 Shares, the cooling inflation data adds to the likelihood that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this year. Okay, so that's the narrative. I just got to tell you, I don't give a damn. Like, I understand that markets will respond to these types of, like, these days where we have news events like this, which are you know, it's known in advance these things are coming, of course, they're scheduled. But you're talking about 0.1% difference and people are just over the moon emotionally about it. It's just silly nonsense. People, yeah, I'll acknowledge that markets can and do frequently respond, and there's volatility on days like this. It doesn't matter. Big picture, like, everything is what it is. Like, this doesn't materially matter. I understand that some people are trained to respond on days like this, but what really drives these cycles? I mean, it's still, like, and look, I understand there's a lot of moving parts to this, But look at global liquidity, okay? That's the most key thing to be looking at here. There's too strong of a correlation for too long to deny it. That is indeed the case. It's not the Bitcoin halving or any other stupid narrative that most people come up with. It is that. So if in the short term people feel a little bit more scared or a little bit too exuberant, it comes out in the wash. Like it just is what it is. It's global liquidity or bust, folks. So I'm just saying. So I think that we're going to be moving up. And there are tons of reasons for this. Here's a post from chart analyst Jack. I shared this with his 150,000 followers on X. It's a Bitcoin USD chart. And he simply wrote, I think lots of people really need to zoom out and understand that this is the perfect anticipated higher time frame retest of a 4-year-long ascending channel that broke to the upside until proven otherwise. And yet the fear is at max levels with targets for $40,000 or even $20,000 for Bitcoin, which would kill the macro structure, by the way. I ain't saying we cannot dip further into the current support, but one shouldn't forget this bigger view. I'd also add that Bitcoin is mainly dropping due to risk unwinding in the broader markets, rather than something specific related to it. When that risk is gone, you kind of expect continuation of the trend, which is still undeniably bullish on the respective time frame. And folks, it is true, and I don't think that this is probably something terribly controversial, but all of the tariff news, like that is scaring markets, and people are to some degree anyway. I'm not saying that we're completely in a risk-off mode here, but it is scaring people, and market participants are responding here. And so, as he notes here, once that sentiment's gone, well, what do you think happens? You think people are just going to feel like this forever and behave like this? No, the way market participants behave, of course it will continue to fluctuate. The overarching point that I'll insist is what makes the most sense to focus on is that you're going to continue to have a bigger crypto pie and a bigger stock market pie. That you're going to increasingly let enough time pass. There's going to be way, way, way more money in the stock market and the crypto asset class than there is now. It's just that there's way more opportunity in crypto because there's way less money in it, and it doesn't take a ton of money flowing in to get ridiculous multiplier effects, which is why people buying in crypto now, even if you're brand new, I'm willing to bet that there are just a boatload of people jumping into crypto now for the first time that are going to be wildly wealthy in the coming years, even if it takes you 5 years or 10 years or who knows. I'm just saying, because of the actual opportunity here, those people that are sufficiently diversified, put in enough money, those are the people, and then if they're patient, and they don't sell when markets panic, if they do, like, those are the things it takes. And I'm just telling you, that opportunity is still alive and well here. Now, the good news is I'm not saying we have to wait 10 years from here. Like, so many of you have been here for a number of years. Like, we're going to have the blow off top unless this time is actually different. I just don't think that's remotely probable. I won't say it's impossible. I think it's not remotely probable. That's my honest opinion on this. And so I think Jackus is pretty much knocking out of the park here. You just got to zoom out and stop freaking out. And XRP is showing ridiculous strength while all this is going on, by the way. Worth reminding you. Here's a post from on-chain analytics firm Santiment. They wrote, Tether's on-chain activity has been rapidly rising, with over 143,000 wallets making transfers yesterday alone, a 6-month high. When USDT and other stablecoin activity spikes during price drops, traders are preparing to buy. Added buy pressure aids in crypto prices recovery. So, folks, isn't that an interesting data point? I would say so. It's what the phrase that many analysts will use in this space is they call that dry powder. It's on the sideline, but it's ready to be deployed. It's just capital waiting to be deployed into the marketplace. So if there's that much flowing into a stable, for what purpose? What do you think happens with that next? Because look, if people wanted to cash out, then they'd probably just cash out, and then that money just wouldn't be in the crypto space anymore. If it's literally sitting there in a stable coin, what do you think happens next? Why do people buy stable coins? And so that's why Santiment is stating this. It's because there's no shortage of historic precedent to indicate, yes, that is indeed the case. It's just one more thing to look at. There's also this from chart analyst Mustache, hashtag Bitcoin. The last time the RSI, Relative Strength Index, and the S&P 500 was this low, Bitcoin rose more than 300% thereafter. Both assets are also touching a very important trend line. Be more bullish, guys. And by the way, so you got the S&P 500 on the bottom, that's Bitcoin on top, and you can see that these aren't perfectly scaled to line up perfectly. So you can see on the bottom, that's the October 2023 for the S&P, and then here closer to the middle of the screen, that's also October 2023, and that one's for Bitcoin. So you can see what happened. Look at how low the relative strength index is down here, and that indicates oversold territory effectively, And what happened? It became no longer oversold, and price went up. Like, we're in the same territory. RSI, that's where my mouse is right here. See that? That's the RSI. It doesn't mean it's in fact, when markets become oversold, like market participants do figure this out. They typically, like, things just work themselves out. Of course they do. But you can see what happened after such a moment. And I remember that time period. I remember that was a local low, and I remember buying a bunch of stuff around then, and I was talking about it on my YouTube channel. And yeah, things went up. Things went up quite a bit from then. And now here we are. This thing is not over. But let's focus on XRP. How about that? And Ethereum a little bit, because I was kind of, I was highlighting, a number of things in the outset of the video, but in particular, this idea of XRP just dominating Ethereum's little bitch ass. That's coming. Take a look at this. This is from chart analyst Dom. Again, one of the many analysts I follow who accurately called that XRP would break out this cycle, despite all sorts of people insisting that it wouldn't happen. He says, the run isn't over until XRP flips Ethereum. I don't make the rules. Since the last update, they have inched 1.75% closer, 3.65% to go. And actually, it's 3.67% to go based on the numbers that are on the screen right here anyway. So you can see the dominance for XRP at the time that he posted this morning, 4.94%. And I remember showing you guys when we were way down here, when it was at about 1%, I was like, guys, this is what happens when you reach a bottom point for a cycle. And I pointed back to here in 2021. I was like, see how things bottom out and then they don't stay down there? Yes. Historic precedent. Markets have a funny way of figuring out when something is oversold, overbought. If dominance is too low, if the dominance is too high, the market eventually figures that out and it adjusts. So yeah, and that's not the first time that this had happened. So yeah, this was not a surprise to me. Now here you can see Ethereum, yes, moving to the downside. And you love to see it. I mean, if you're an XRP holder, because there's historic precedent for XRP absolutely battling Ethereum for that spot. XRP's been number 2 in market cap at least several times in history. I'd be surprised if it never happens again. That would surprise me. If I could know what happens over the next 100 years, and I were to find out that meant XRP was shown to never be back in that number 2 spot, I'd be a little surprised. I'd be like, what has happened to make that so? Because it doesn't make sense to think that's most probable at this point. I mean, look at how close they are right now, and XRP is so powerful right now. It's very clear the market is treating it differently than other coins. Which isn't to say that Ethereum can't make a notable move to the upside, and perhaps it will. And maybe you could even find a short period of time, even this cycle, where ETH starts to outperform XRP. I just don't think it's going to stay like that. When XRP rips, my God, it goes. It goes into true face melt zone. That's historically how it's always behaved. When it goes, it goes. So it's mostly a lot of sideways and downward price action, but then when it goes, you are rewarded. That's just what it is to hold XRP here. So when it finally does start running for its next major leg up here, I just think it's going to be completely absurd. Because that's how it's always been, and why would it not? Well, humans don't appear to be treating it differently. Why would you then think that we'd not see that? It just doesn't make sense to me. Here's more from Chart Analyst Dom. The first one was from March 4th, and then I got a little bit of an update here from you, for you from this morning. So he shared this chart March 4th. This is Dom, and he said, XRP is attempting to break the largest resistance in history against Ethereum. Price historically has only ever went parabolic if broken, which at minimum has printed a 160% move after breaking this zone. Even half of that, and XRP flips Ethereum. Alerts set for a confirmed break. Yeah, and I've been talking about this quite a lot. It really won't take that much more money flowing into XRP to take that number 2 spot. And I understand the whole market can start to go at once, so even if a ton of money flows in and it doubles in price, what if that's not enough to flip Ethereum because Ethereum's running at the same time? Okay, possible. But it doesn't mean that you can't close the gap, and it doesn't mean we don't eventually get there. And so here's the update from Dom this morning on this. He shared this chart, XRP ETH chart. He said, XRP is trying to break that last resistance against Ethereum where it historically goes ballistic. Unfortunate part is this is because of Ethereum weakness and XRP managing to hold up a bit more. Either way, a full break of those 2 lines will print something. And so that is true. That's certainly fair to point out. There's been a lot of weakness in Ethereum, but I still think the whole market comes back. So unless the analysts who are expecting a final, parabolic push to the upside, and unless they're all wrong, I mean, then that is indeed what comes. I've been look. I'm just like you guys. Like I'm just a normal dude. I'm not special because I have a YouTube channel. I'm just a dude on the internet. I just happen to be hyper interested in this stuff, just like so many of you are. If you're listening to this channel, obviously you've got that same type of interest as that I do. But you don't have to be a wizard to understand some very basic things. Like I'm telling you, historically, what normally happens, and I'm saying this as a non-chart guy. I'm not a chart guy. I'm just very aware of this obvious thing. When you see gaps in the market in terms of value, again, I was just saying a few minutes ago, markets do figure this out. And Ethereum has been taking an absolute beating. Eventually it's going to run. And historically, that's been the thing that gets alt season going in general. I won't be surprised if that happens again either. But to think that this is the moment where it just keeps going lower and lower and lower, and then that's it. That's the same crap that people were saying about XRP. And it's because humans have this very bad tendency to just believe directionally whatever is going to happen in the market, it's just going to do that forever. It's a very stupid thing, but humans do this all the time. They just have this feeling, oh, it's just going to do it forever. Well, what has materially changed? If the world has decided for effectively a decade at this point that Ethereum makes sense, what has just now happened on a fundamental perspective that makes it way worse than what it was a year ago? Like, that's my point, though. You see what I'm saying? It's not the fundamentals, whether you think Ethereum is good from a fundamental perspective or not. I'm saying for a decade now, the market has been saying, okay, we'll go with this one. What has happened that would make it now sink? Nothing. Nothing is the answer. That's the point. It's the same thing that people were saying about XRP. Oh, it's just going down. It's been bleeding against Bitcoin for years. And I kept saying, well, yeah, it is. But there's historic precedent indicating that when that happens, then it goes. It's the same thing. So just because people are pitching a fit about Ethereum right now, okay, so what? They're going to get wrong-footed too. The market's going to find a bottom, and then it's going to blast off at some point. I don't pretend to know when. And unless, again, if we actually enter a bear market, that's what you should expect to be the next big thing. Here's a post from Chart Analyst, Sistine Research, XRP Ethereum chart here. He clearly believes the same thing. He said, XRP about to flip Ethereum again. And so he's got a couple different things. He's got the fully diluted value here, and that's what we're knocking up against as of the time that he posted this just this afternoon. But the one that people are really interested in is circulating supply, because that's the one that's used to calculate what market cap is. You just take the circulating supply times whatever the current market rate is. So that's the one that's, of course, more meaningful. But regardless, again, I think that people that have been paying attention to XRP and Ethereum for a long time, like, you know that it just seems like it's a virtual certainty. Like, it's a virtual inevitability. We're going to see that battle again. Here's a post from Chart Analyst Mikey Bull Crypto from the other day. Bullish divergence on the Ethereum daily chart smells like a bottom to me. Okay, so this is, mind you, this is a moment where all the typical living retail speculators are screaming that Ethereum's just going to go lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. And maybe they're right in that, you know, maybe this isn't the bottom. I'm not arguing it is or isn't. I don't get into that type of stuff. But this is the sentiment that you would expect close to the bottom. And so when he says smells like a bottom to me, I'm sitting there like, yeah, this is exactly how people felt about XRP before it rocketed. And that's always how it's going to be. And then he shared this about XRP. This is Mikey Bull Crypto, XRP USD chart. XRP is among the strongest charts amid the sell-off, daily bullish divergence. It will run massively as the market begins to recover. And so he is another one of the analysts I follow who is very insistent that we're not done here, folks. This thing is going to go absolutely bananas at some point. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK. It's an XRP USD chart on the screen here, and he wrote, XRP pushing to break its recent downtrend. Well, I hope that's right. It's just I have been seeing more votes of optimism from analysts about what might be happening in the short term. So I hope the analysts that think it's more likely than not that the lows are in or close, I hope that they are indeed correct. Well, we'll find out. But the more important point is what happens after that? What about the midterm? What about big picture? Are they right about that? And I'm still betting yes. Here's a post from Chart Analyst Greg Crypto. This is the relative strength index of XRP, but I will note that each data point is weekly. So each data point, it's literally 7 days apart. So you're not getting kind of like the granular feel of how it ebbs and flows from day to day, but it can be useful to look at this nonetheless. And so here he wrote, weekly RSI crossed 7150, then kaboom. On the 60 level, XRP's RSI is starting to tick upward. As it builds strength from 60, we could easily see it climb back above 80, but first we need to close above 7150. And he accidentally wrote a dollar sign there. I know he didn't mean to do that. He's obviously talking about the RSI level there. Another thing worth noting here, because he used the word kaboom here, 7150, then kaboom. So somebody asked him here, okay, in your opinion, what is kaboom? And he said 2 digits. So he's obviously referencing a 2-digit price for XRP. So that'd be $10 plus. I hope that's correct. I think that there's a lot of people listening right now that'll be pretty disappointed if we don't get at least somewhere close to $10 this cycle. I'd be willing to bet. Then there's also this from chart analyst Javon Marks. He said, XRP's momentum oscillator, relative strength index, is currently nearing an even larger pattern breakout, and one of its most recent led into a nearly 500% price increase. These prices can be setting up for yet another monstrous bullish move, and this is a 2-day chart here. So I hope I'm just seeing again, continued optimism. And all of these analysts that I've highlighted in this video that cover XRP were right about it moving to the upside. None of them have changed their tune just because we've had some scary weeks here recently. It's just, look, there are real world ramifications for the tariff stuff, and that has spooked markets, and that's probably a notable part of this. But even without that, you still do see, because we could argue about whether or not that's the reason, and if so, to what degree. But even without that, you still have pullbacks in bull markets. So either way, like the important things to understand about this are true either way, whatever the cause is. I just don't think that we're done here. I just don't think people are done taking profit. Because when enough people take profit from Bitcoin, and you'll see the dominance tank, and then you'll see altcoins run because people aren't done gambling. They'll be wanting to put the profits from Bitcoin into other stuff, and then altcoins will run. And you can kind of figure out, okay, that means we're pretty far into the cycle. When that happens, yeah. That means we're about at the end. But it hasn't happened yet. It simply hasn't happened yet. Which is why I continue to just be excited. And I don't know for sure that that's correct, but I strongly believe, like by a lot, that is what's going to happen. I don't really have a whole lot of doubt here. I just don't. And if that ends up not being the case, okay, well, then suck it up, Buttercup. That's what I'll have to do. I guess that would just mean that I'm wrong, and that could be the case. I just don't think so. I don't think that's likely. So you guys tell me what you think. But either way, my stance, yeah, number go up, XRP face melting rally, entering price discovery, probably flipping ETH. That would be my guess. Wouldn't be surprised to see it anyway. Tell me what you think, though. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.